Collections are an essential part of loads of apps. Whether it's an array of items to display in a list or a set of unique objects, your app most likely uses a collection type in multiple places. Even strings are technically collections. They're collections of characters that you can iterate and map over. My name is Donny Walls, and in this video we're going to zoom in on set and array and how you can choose between them. We'll look at characteristics of them, what makes them unique, and we'll look at key performance aspects. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and all the things before we dig right into the arrays. So here's how you can define an array. It's simply a list, and we can assign a list of values to it. In this case, 1, 2, and 3. Easy enough. If we change the definition of our list to be fully spelled out, it looks a bit like this. Let my list is an array that's generic over string, and it contains the values 1, 2, and 3. That's because an array is generic over a string, which means that strings can only contain a single type of data. It must contain a homogeneous collection of data, which means that they can only contain a single type. We can have any kind of object in our array, but we can only have objects of a single type in there. So once we commit to putting strings in our array, all that we're going to put in there are strings. Now let's imagine that we do somehow want to introduce a mixed type of data into our array. We can make that work by using an enum, for example. Here's what that could look like if we wanted to mix strings and integers into our array. We define an enum with two cases, and they both have associated values, and our array is now an array of our enum, and we can put different cases with different associated values in there. That's completely fine, because our array is not an array of integers and strings, it's an array of the mixed value enum. I'm not saying that this is a good idea or something that you should be using a lot. I'm just saying that it's possible and to illustrate that we only can put in a single type, but that type can really be whatever we want. The items in this array are ordered. That means that by default, an array is ordered in the exact order that you defined the array in. So in that array that you saw earlier, 1, 2, 3, that is the order of the elements. I can reorder the elements by sorting it if I want, and from that point on, the array will now be sorted using that exact same approach that I took to sort it. If I sort it by alphabetical order, that's how the array will be sorted from then on out. The array will not automatically resort itself, though, if I add new elements to it. So if I keep appending new items, those items will be appended to the end, and the array does not automatically update its sorting. I would have to do that manually. You can also search in an array, right? Arrays have this first where method that looks like this. You can find an element. In this case, we won't find anything because my array contains 1337, 1338, 1339, and I'm looking for 1340, which is not in the array. So let item is going to become nil since we couldn't find any match. We can also loop over arrays using for loops. We can map over them, and we can do a lot more. But that said, the key characteristics to focus on for now are that an array holds a single type of data, any kind of data, that the array will hold those items in an ordered fashion, so we'll get stable sorting, and values don't have to be unique because an array can hold duplicate elements. So knowing that, sorted, non-unique elements, we can take a look at sets. A set can be defined as follows, and I've fully spelled out the set type because if we didn't, our array would have been initialized as an array, since we're initializing this set using an array literal. It looks very similar to an array, except the type that we assign it to is different. Our set can only hold objects that conform to the hashable protocol. That requirement does not exist for array. Arrays can contain any kind of data. Sets can only contain hashable data. Also, the elements in our set are not guaranteed to always be in the same order. So that means that sets should never be used if you care about the ordering of the elements that you're putting in it. And you can't sort a set without converting it to an array. So if you do want to sort whatever you have in your set, you can, but the output becomes an array. So you lose this set. Semantics. If we want to find an element in a set, we can totally do that. We don't need to loop using first where, like we did with array. Instead, we can use contains, and we can pass a value to contains, and contains will simply tell us, is that value in the array or not? Or in the set or not, I should say. Which is quite convenient. Because A set is used to hold on to unique unordered data that conforms to hashable. Let's see how that impacts performance. A unique unordered data set that conforms to hashable versus a non-unique ordered data set. The key performance characteristic to keep in mind is that a set can look up items in constant time. That's really their biggest difference. If I'm asking a set whether an element is inside of the set will know that instantly. Doesn't matter how big our set becomes. If we ask an array something like first where or contains, the array is going to start a loop, and that loop will simply end whenever our condition is true. So if the element we're looking for is at the end of the array, we're going to loop through the entire array, which means that this gets us an O(n) kind of performance characteristic, whereas set is O(1). O(1) is much faster than O(n) because set, our constant time array, is linearly scaling upwards. For other operations like for loops, mapping, or flat mapping, or anything like that, performance will be the same because we're accessing every item in the set or array. So in the end, I believe it makes the most sense to choose set or array based on your needs and kind of ignoring the performance characteristic unless it really matters to what you're doing. Are your items unsorted? Do you not care about sorting? Are your items hashable? And should they be unique within your collection? Then go with a set. If you need to allow duplicates, if you care about sorting, or if you cannot make your elements hashable, then an array is probably what you need. It's simply the most flexible option of the two. I hope this helps you make up your mind about arrays versus sets. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all those things, and I will see you in the next video.